For the whole month or two we filmed as a hired actress, we all made $4,000. We made more money on that commercial day than we made doing the movie.
Hey, Stab, I'd really love to come out and play with you, but I'm a little busy right now with your girl on my lap. Shit.
That scene is difficult to watch today. I do know this, in some outlets that play the movie House Party, they'll edit that part out.
What if I told you that one of the most beloved comedy movies of the 1990s almost never made it to theaters because of a single scene that had movie executives in a panic? What if I told you that this scene wasn't even that shocking by today's standards, but it was enough to make Hollywood consider banning the entire film? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving deep into the wild story behind House Party and the controversial moment that nearly killed this cultural masterpiece before it could even reach audiences. Picture this. It's 1990, and a small independent movie about two teenagers trying to get to a house party is about to change everything. But behind the laughs, the music, and those unforgettable dance moves, there was a battle happening in boardrooms across Hollywood. Studio executives were sweating, censors were sharpening their pencils, and the creators of House Party were fighting tooth and nail to keep their vision alive. The movie we're talking about started as nothing more than a college project. Can you believe that? Reginald Hudlin was just a regular student at Harvard University in 1983 when he created a short film for one of his classes. He had no idea that this simple assignment would eventually become a movie that would be preserved in the National Film Registry alongside classics like Citizen Kane and Casablanca. But getting there wasn't easy, and it all came down to one scene that had everyone talking. Now, you might be wondering what could possibly be so shocking about a teen comedy that it would cause such a stir. After all, movies in the late 1980s and early 1990s weren't exactly known for being tame. We had films with violence, crude humor, and all sorts of adult content getting passed through the rating system without much trouble. So what made House Party different? What made this particular scene so dangerous in the eyes of Hollywood? The answer might surprise you, because it wasn't really about what was shown on screen. It was about who was showing it and what it represented. House Party wasn't just another teen comedy. It was something that Hollywood had rarely seen before. A movie that showed young black teenagers as real people with real dreams, real friendships, and real joy. And that, believe it or not, was revolutionary. Let me paint you a picture of what Hollywood looked like in 1990. If you were a young black actor trying to make it in the movie business, your options were pretty limited. You could play the criminal, the victim, or maybe, if you were lucky, the wisecracking sidekick to a white main character. Movies about black teenagers either didn't exist or portrayed them in ways that reinforced every negative stereotype you can imagine. The idea of a movie that showed black kids just being kids, having fun, going to parties, and dealing with normal teenage problems was almost unheard of. So when Reginald Hudlin created his vision of House Party, he wasn't just making a comedy. He was making a statement. He was saying that black teenagers deserved to be seen as complex, funny, intelligent human beings who were just as worthy of having their stories told as anyone else. And that message made some very powerful people very uncomfortable. The scene that caused all the trouble wasn't filled with violence or explicit content. It was actually a moment of pure joy and celebration. It was the famous dance battle scene where Kid and Play showed off their incredible moves, surrounded by their friends who were cheering them on and having the time of their lives. To most people watching, it was the highlight of the movie. It was energetic, it was fun, and it showcased the incredible talent of the performers. But to some executives and censors, it represented something much more threatening. They saw young black men and women celebrating their culture, their music, and their creativity without apology. They saw characters who weren't asking for permission to exist or trying to make white audiences feel comfortable. They saw a level of confidence and pride that challenged everything Hollywood thought it knew about how black characters should behave on screen. And that scared them. The battle over this scene went on for months. Studio executives demanded cuts, changes, and modifications that would have completely destroyed the spirit of what Hudlin was trying to create. They wanted to tone down the music, reduce the dancing, and make the characters more palatable to what they assumed white audiences wanted to see. They were convinced that showing black teenagers having this much fun and being this confident would alienate mainstream viewers. But Hudlin and his team refused to back down. They had created something special, something authentic, and they weren't about to let corporate fear destroy it. They fought meeting after meeting, revision after revision, to preserve the integrity of their vision. They knew that changing this scene would change the entire meaning of the movie. What makes this story even more incredible is that the actors in the scene, Kid and Play, choreographed that dance battle themselves. Chorizo, Istopher Reed and Christopher Martin weren't just actors playing roles, they were real hip-hop artists who brought their genuine talent and creativity to the screen. That authenticity is what made the scene so powerful and so threatening to the establishment at the same time. The controversy got even more heated when the Motion Picture Association of America slapped House Party with an R rating. This was devastating news for a movie that was specifically made for teenage audiences. An R rating meant that most of the kids who would connect with the story wouldn't be able to see it in theaters without an adult. It was like making a cartoon and then telling children they couldn't watch it. What made this rating decision even more frustrating was the inconsistency. Other teen comedies released around the same time featured much more graphic content, crude language, and adult situations, but somehow managed to get PG-13 ratings. Movies with predominantly white casts were getting passes for content that was far more questionable than anything in House Party. The message was clear. The same standards weren't being applied equally. This wasn't just about one movie or one scene. This was about a system that was designed to limit and control how black stories were told. It was about gatekeepers who were more comfortable with black characters as criminals or victims than as vibrant, creative young people celebrating life. The fight over House Party became a symbol of a much larger struggle for representation and fairness in Hollywood. The irony of the most positive and uplifting moments they were trying to censor was here was a movie showing black teenagers using their creativity and talent to express themselves, supporting their friends, and building each other up instead of tearing each other down. It was exactly the kind of positive representation that communities had been asking for, but somehow it was considered too dangerous for mainstream audiences. Behind the scenes, the pressure was enormous. The filmmakers were relatively new to Hollywood, and going up against the studio system took incredible courage. They risked their careers, their future projects, and their relationships in the industry by refusing to compromise on their vision. But they understood that this was bigger than just their movie. They were fighting for the right of black creators to tell their own stories on their own terms. The financial stakes were huge, too. House Party was made on a tiny budget of just $2.5 million, which meant that every decision could make or break the entire project. The studio executives holding the purse strings had all the power, and they weren't shy about using it. They made it clear that if the filmmakers didn't play ball, they could easily shelve the entire movie and move on to something else. But something amazing happened when House Party finally made it to theaters. Audiences didn't react with fear or discomfort when they saw that controversial dance scene. Instead, they cheered. They laughed. They celebrated right along with the characters on screen. People of all backgrounds connected with the joy and energy of the moment. The scene that executives thought would alienate audiences became the most beloved part of the entire movie. The success of House Party proved that Hollywood executives had been wrong about what audiences wanted to see. The movie earned over $26 million at the box office, proving that there was a huge appetite for authentic stories about black life. More importantly, it opened doors for other filmmakers who had similar stories to tell. It showed that movies celebrating black culture and creativity could be both critically acclaimed and commercially successful. The impact of that controversial scene extended far beyond the movie theater. It inspired a generation of young people who finally saw themselves represented on screen in a positive way. It influenced fashion, music, and dance styles that are still popular today. It proved that art has the power to challenge stereotypes and change minds when creators are brave enough to stay true to their vision. Looking back now, it's hard to believe that such a joyful, innocent scene caused so much controversy. But that's exactly the point. The fact that showing black teenagers dancing and having fun was considered threatening tells us everything we need to know about the state of Hollywood in 1990. It reveals the deep-seated fears and prejudices that shaped the entertainment industry for decades. The story of House Party's controversial scene is really a story about courage. It's about artists who refused to let their work be watered down or censored to make others comfortable. It's about the power of authentic representation and the importance of diverse voices in entertainment. It's about the difference between creating art that challenges audiences to think and creating art that simply reinforces what they already believe. Today, House Party is recognized as a classic that helped change the landscape of American cinema. In 2022, it was selected for preservation in the National Film Registry, cementing its place in movie history. The scene that once caused so much panic is now celebrated as a moment of pure cinematic joy. It's studied in film schools and referenced by contemporary artists who understand its cultural significance. The actors who brought that scene to life went on to have incredible careers. Martin Lawrence became one of the biggest comedy stars of the 1990s and 2000s. Kid and Play continued to influence music and entertainment. Even the smaller roles in the movie launched careers that are still thriving today. But none of that would have happened if the filmmakers had given in to the pressure to change their vision. The controversy surrounding House Party also highlighted the importance of film festivals like Sundance in giving independent filmmakers a platform. When major studios were hesitant to support the project, Sundance provided the exposure and credibility that the movie needed to find its audience. This pattern has repeated countless times since then, with festival circuits serving as launching pads for movies that might otherwise never see the light of day. What's most remarkable about this whole story is how a single scene in a low-budget comedy became a turning point in the conversation about representation in Hollywood. It forced the industry to confront its own biases and limitations. It proved that audiences were hungry for diverse stories and authentic voices. It demonstrated that taking creative risks could pay off both artistically and financially. The legacy of House Party extends far beyond entertainment. It became a cultural touchstone that influenced everything from music videos to fashion trends. The confidence and creativity displayed in that controversial dance scene inspired countless young artists to pursue their own dreams. It showed that being proud of your culture and expressing it boldly wasn't something to be ashamed of, but something to be celebrated. As we look at the entertainment landscape today, we can trace a direct line from House Party's brave stance to the diverse, authentic storytelling we see across all forms of media. The movie helped pave the way for creators who refused to compromise their vision or water down their stories to fit someone else's idea of what's acceptable. It proved that audiences are smart enough and open-minded enough to embrace stories that might challenge their preconceptions. The uncensored scene that almost got House Party banned turned out to be the very thing that made it immortal. It's a reminder that sometimes the most controversial art is also the most important. It's a testament to the power of staying true to your vision even when everyone around you is telling you to change it. And it's proof that joy, creativity, and authentic representation will always find an audience, no matter how hard some people try to suppress them. So the next time you watch House Party and see Kid and Play breaking it down on that dance floor, remember that you're not just watching a fun scene from a comedy movie. You're watching a moment that changed Hollywood forever. You're seeing the result of artists who fought against censorship and won. You're witnessing a piece of cinema history that almost never happened, because some people thought black joy was too dangerous for mainstream audiences. That's the incredible story behind the uncensored scene that almost got House Party banned. It's a story about courage, creativity, and the power of authentic representation. It's a reminder that the best art often comes from artists who refuse to play it safe or conform to others' expectations. And it's proof that sometimes the most controversial moments in entertainment turn out to be the most important ones in history. If this story inspired you, made you think differently about the movies you watch, or gave you a new appreciation for the struggles that creators face to bring authentic stories to the screen, then please hit that like button and let me know in the comments. Share this video with someone who loves movie history, or who might not know the incredible story behind this classic film. And don't forget to subscribe for more behind-the-scenes stories about the movies and moments that shaped our culture. Trust me, there are so many more incredible stories like this one just waiting to be told, and I can't wait to share them with you.